85% of divorce is initiated by women is a stat that I've come across.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different theories. So this article that, one of the things that I felt like is interesting to talk about in the context of this. So 85% of divorces now are initiated by women, and 50% of people approximately get divorced. And if you get divorced younger, it's even more than that. You know what I mean? Because that 50% is like a big portion of people that are, not 70, right?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at probably like 70% of women, period, that are married getting divorced, like that are, in their 30s or something.
Okay.
If you kind of, do the math on those numbers, right?
Okay.
So I think that one thing is they're going to tell why, which is, probably going to be wrong.
Men.
There's a few things they said are right, a few things they said are wrong. But a lot of it's that. But the other interesting part is like, what do you do with that information as a guy? Where you go, you know what I mean?
Nothing.
Well, I think you don't think you make any changes on that?
If you're a guy in terms of, again, if you're in a relationship, a girl wants to get married, like, are you saying do some of this stuff that they're saying so that you don't wind up in divorce?
There's both. So I think I have solutions to both.
Yeah.
But just if you look at the demographics, you gotta be honest to yourself about that stuff. You go, if I'm in this demographic where it's like a lot of it is, a huge part of it is that the girls make as much money as guys, and it's a biggest grass is greener situation.
A lot of emotional labor
right?
too.
Grass is greener. The world telling women that there is a, kind of a better life for them, that,
they don't
in
need
some
any
cases
man.
there is, some cases there isn't. Yeah, potentially don't need a man. A big part is that like, they work now, so they can leave easier.
Yeah.
Whereas before they couldn't leave. But the biggest part is probably that they make the same amount of money. So there's a power dynamic. And every girl, I always think of it as like a dude that dates a girl that's like less good looking as him. You're kind of always thinking like in the back of your head, like, I could have probably had a hotter one.
Yeah.
That like kind of doesn't go away that much, right? I bet you a lot of guys probably have that where it's like, I could have done better than this. But what you mean is her looks.
Yeah.
Whereas girls, if they date a guy that like makes a little less money, always in the back of their head to be like,
I could have nicer stuff.
Yeah, I could have an extra $30,000 a year if I just chose differently.
Yeah, this vacation could have been nicer.
Yeah, so I think that knowing that, the biggest thing that I would say you do with that is someone younger. So that's the biggest solution to that.
But it's different for women though, because say if you're a woman and you're 40 and yes, you make more money, but you're like, at that point, you're not necessarily, your offering has changed.
What do you mean?
Like because again, like youth is obviously more favored.
Yeah, but you're describing reality. I'm describing why they are moving the way that they move.
Oh,
so
right.
because you're saying like their argument is going to be something along the lines.
Like I'm going to go
like,
trade up, but you're like your values changed.
But that's not how they see it.
Yeah.
So do you know what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely.
Because I agree that you go, like
women unrealistic, never.
But that's like there is some of it is like these ladies need a reality check, but it's like. I always say it's the same as when, girls are like, why don't you tell men to stop attacking me instead of like telling me not to run at 4 a.m. through the projects? And you go, okay, well, until that happens. So it's like, yes,
sure.
You know what I mean? You go, well, maybe these girls need a reality check. And you go, okay, well, until this mass reality check happens. I think you gotta
start taking reality pills, government mandated. Let's do this.
So until the mass reality check happens, a big way to solve a lot of but basically you go, men and women used to have a sort of a power dynamic, and then now that power dynamic has shifted. But if you date someone that's younger than you, it's back to normal.
Yeah. Of course.
So I mean, that's an easy solution, right? So it's like, I think guys that are 20 need to start thinking like, I don't settle down with the girl that you're like is your age right now. It could potentially hurt you in the future.
Yes and no.
Unless it depends on. But if you're in this situation, if you're in a situation where you're like, I'm going to be with some chick and I'm going to be the breadwinner anyway, it's like this might not apply to you.
But I'd say if two 20-year-olds get together, say they get married and then they get divorced at 30, I'd arguably rather be the 30-year-old divorced guy than the 30-year-old divorced woman.
Well, that's another thing that I would agree with you. So you're kind of on the money with that. That there's another point where you go the other way where you're like, yeah, just be okay with the fact that you might probably get divorced.
I mean, it's just like relationships end. Everybody's.
Well, they didn't
most people
used
have.
to.
I know, but because it was just law. The whole culture was different, and there was maybe laws and stuff. But most people, their marriage is not their first relationship. So they understand that relationships end and just treat it as a relationship and not some like, it's not some like next level thing. It's just
it is a next level thing.
I know because of
your
the
fucking
contracts and whatnot, but
it's a huge next level thing.
But I'm just trying to simplify to say
kids getting split. Like, dude, there's horror stories of dudes that have like, we know ones of horror stories of guys that have just their, they're like, get all their money, whatever. You can't see their kids. So I don't think it's just like it's not this like easy fix.
It's not an easy fix.
Thing.
No. Obviously, it's not an easy fix. And once you have kids, but I'm saying if you have a kid, who cares if you're married or not? That complication is now there. If you have a kid out of wedlock in your common law, you knock a girl up or whatever, like your life has that complication, regardless of how you see, the structure of it. So I would just say with that. But I mean, that is crazy. 85% of women initiate relationships. I think guys can tolerate a bad circumstance.
That's another
so
component.
Like they'll be like, that's literally what the man cave is for, is to prolong an unhappy marriage.
Yeah.
You go, I'll be down there, leave me alone.
They have more hobbies. Well, that's a big part of it. The girls put all their like stock, they put way more stock in their relationship. Whereas guys, you go, that's just like a part of, if you look at your life and you go, I have like 6 things, and you're just like, that one I'm not loving.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But it looks like we're going to win the men's hockey league championship. So that balances out my horrible relationship.
I think so, right? The girls are getting uppity though.
They are.
They're looking to get out. So, because their thing is, but you go, how am I going to like win with that information? I think there's like a few things that you can change, but they go, statistics suggest that more women are unsatisfied in their marriages, at least to the point of ending them. But it's always, this is the thing that these people are kind of saying, and they're like blaming on, they're like victim shaming the guy who got divorced in a lot of the cases. But you go, okay, but like it hasn't changed in every other country, and it like hasn't changed like all these other places. You go, so why is it just here? And you go, is it possible that like, and you go, because they'll be like, and women are don't want to have a bad deal, and be like, okay, but why is that not the case everywhere else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a valid point.
There are certainly many reasons for the dissatisfaction. However, his husband and his actions and lack of them play a significant role in causing, and so they are victim shaming.
Yeah,
where the guy gets.
I mean, it's always obviously in their mind too. 85% of women initiate divorce.
Be better, man.
And 85% of divorces are men's fault.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
So be better, man, is their first thing. But if you do have like a, this like bitch is thinking like that, you go, in her mind, she's like, she could leave. You gotta always have in your mind like 1 foot out the door. You gotta have a little extra money on the side. You know what I mean? You know that they're looking to upgrade like that. You gotta fucking treat the situation accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah. You start bettering yourself, preparing for the wave.
No, you start worsening yourself. You go, I dare you.
Yeah.
I wish you would.
I wish you would. Fuck around and find out.
Well, yeah. So the statistics suggest that they're unsatisfied, and they're saying it's guys' fault. Several years ago, a college professor, for example, whose marriage has been sinking, found himself on the way to divorce. When his wife asked him if he wanted a divorce, he said, "I don't care." And then she smiled after.
Yeah, because he didn't care. He goes, honestly, like
I really thought you were gonna disagree, and I was gonna fight about this. Like, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it, I guess.
Yeah, but there's.
Well, she whittled him down. Like that's the thing is she whittled down his spirit.
He stopped fighting with them. When you let your spirit disappear, that's when they really find that you're unattractive.
Sure, but then that's when you also get to the point where he goes like, "Do you want to get divorced?" He goes, "I don't know, whatever." Yeah.
But there is
I guess
there's a lot of dudes that you stop fighting, which I get, but it's like as soon as you stop fighting, it'll be some other guy that's got an invigorated spirit, and that guy will start looking better and be like, yeah, you're gonna do that to him too.
Yeah. Yep.
Several years ago, so this guy, he basically is like exactly what you were describing, and the husband can do a better job of keeping the wife happy. So here's how. So they've given a big list of how to keep a man happy. See, this is what this the millennial man is under constant attack. It's like
under barrage.
You're not good enough for your wife. Like you need to be better at fixing stuff. It's like this. Like it's just this constant attack, and be like. Yeah. Like, so guys our age were just born worse? Like, is it possible that there's more at play here?
And they're like, we want traditional man. Not like that, and just with fixing stuff.
And they're the scapegoat for everything because, like, all things where they're like, white men are bad. Yeah, let's get rid of a bunch. Like, obviously not the 60 seniors. Like, these guys aren't going anywhere.
No, we got to fight back. It's time for the boys to fight back.
I think the trick is you just got to know this stuff. It'd be like,
well, that's part of that's.
Don't
part of the
play
fight.
games you can't win. You go, nah, I'm not going to get divorced. We're not going to get married. You're just going to divorce me. So
Yeah, exactly. Or when she goes, it's time to get divorced, you go, all right.
some other things.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Yeah, you got to know.
Like, not even like, don't even fight a shred for the marriage.
Never.
She goes, I want a divorce. You go, yeah, I got the papers ready to go.
Actually, I had the papers kicking.
You give her one of these. What took you so long? Here's the papers.
What took you so long is exactly you're stroking a cat. By the way, you're taking this cat. Never wanted it in the first place.
I'm fucking allergic to this goddamn piece of shit. Hate it.
You will be taking the cat. Be nice to have some bathroom space again. So, actually, yeah, I'll just move into my other apartment. You have another apartment? Yeah,
Yeah, it's rent control. Not giving that shit up.
yeah. Why do you think I wanted such a cheap one here? I'm paying a second rent, babe. So then they give a list of stuff where they say you should do, and some of it's like pretty normal. They go, maybe he can tell his wife he loves her. He can show his wife he loves her.
Yeah, except he doesn't love her anymore. She wore him down. He doesn't feel love.
It's Daniel, you hit the nail on the head because it's such a thing of that. And also where you go, a lot of times these guys who are in these, marriages with these girls with wandering eyes, so to speak, you are getting these like passive aggressive battles. And when you're kind of like bickering all the time, you're not in the mood to be like, hey, I just want to tell you I love you. Don't. You hate her at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's an adversary.
She walks in the room and you go, ugh. Like, obviously, again, I've been in good situations and bad situations, but it's just like the idea of, I say that this is the women's advice is just what men should do better. It was like, that's why you can't look at the world like they do. And not all women, obviously, right? But
not all women.
No, I just know girls that aren't like this. But that's why you have to look at the world of like, these are the way things are. How do I win it? And I think a huge one is date a girl that you have some like power dynamic over in some way, or else she'll get bored of you.
Yeah.
Because she'll just be like, I could have this guy, but better, And it might not be the case. It might be that.
But isn't that a win in of itself when she thinks she can, and then you find her 10 years later? And
Depends
she's
how
still
you look at
single?
life. You go, is that a win for you that like your enemies who you don't have any contact with get one? A little one, but doesn't help you at all.
Yeah, it doesn't help you at all.
He can recharge her battery when she's tired and worn out. This is just
It's like all just like, give her a foot rub.
Yeah. It's a list of
Make her favorite cake.
Anticipate her needs by making her life easier, loading the dishwasher, wiping off the table, making her lunch the night before. So now you're making her lunch.
Yeah.
I don't think
they're really turning us into bugmen, huh?
Yeah.
With the threat of
you're
divorce.
getting it on both sides. I'm telling you. This is the stuff I'm telling you. They got
wear an apron, emasculate yourself.
They've literally got articles being like, yo, are you a 28-year-old man? Okay, well, you need to be better at fixing stuff. Also, you didn't make your wife's lunch?
Have you considered chemical castration?
Yeah. He can recognize the small and simple things. So that's, and then they said, so this other one, the same topic of divorce. Here's a list of things that men could do better. And they go, or here's a list of reasons why women leave the marriage. And they go, women are more likely to feel held back by their marriage.
I doubt that.
What do you mean?
Women feel more held back?
Than they used to.
Oh, than they used to.
I think is probably the argument.
I thought I meant compared to men.
Yeah, which I think is probably more like, men have always had a little bit of that, and women are having it more now because they have a job and they're just like, oh, I gotta deal with all this stuff too, and whatever. I mean, it's the same thing. Everyone is like always making choices.
Yeah,
right?
it's compromises. You're always making compromises.
Yeah, and then they go, despite having more on their plates and their careers, so they. That's another thing where you go, well, it depends. Those scenarios, it's like, well, who does make more money? That's one thing I feel like. There's a lot of people that talk about the idea where it's kind of like, obviously if one person makes more money and one person makes less money, then it should still be even everything else, blah, blah. And you go, yeah, but like a lot of times the person that makes more money, especially if it's significant, like their fucking life is harder and more stressful. Yeah, like that idea that, the guy, like, yes, there are examples of, and I think your kind of school of thought, there's a lot of examples of people that find out ways to like get rich without working that hard. But most people that I know that have a lot of money, like work really fucking hard.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm sure there's a lot of instances where it's two couples are like both work at, public companies and are like some sort of, they work in somewhere higher
Yeah,
up,
you go, why
but
wouldn't
one
you
of them
split
makes
the things?
4 times as much as the other one, just because one's like, in the hierarchy.
Yeah, but they have more stress. They have more people on their brain. They have more like inputs to deal with. I mean, just the idea of like managing like you want to talk about managing emotions. Like if you have like 40 employees that you're sort of in charge of them, like their productivity, like that is,
of course.
But I'm saying those things like they are tangible. So there is, you have to look at the scenario before you make that one. But yeah, a lot of it does boil down to that they want to like date up. But they go, women often take on more of the emotional burden. So that's what I just said is like they're forgetting these other emotional burdens a lot of times that also exist. You know what I mean?
Of course, emotional labor.
Communication is key in any marriage, but often in an area where many couples struggle. So communicate more. But none of this changed in the last 20 years. And then they go, more of the emotional responsibilities. In some cases, this may include being the sole emotional support system for the entire family. So, yeah, that can be true. All of this can be true.
Yeah, it can be true. And they say that men are not taught how they can communicate properly. It's like, it's not that they don't know how to. They're just tired of talking so much. Just don't want to.
Yeah, you do get very much tired of talking.
Yeah, it's just
that's one of my biggest arguments that I have. It's like, and I'm a fairly chatty person, and I'm
too.
tired of it.
Yeah, and I just go like, I don't want to talk right now.
I can't.
I just don't want to talk anything, and then they go like, oh, so
you don't want to talk to me?
I go, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah,
I go, I'm not anybody.
I'm fine being here with you, but it's just like, just silence.
Telling you, just men need fucking safe rooms.
Well, you want to think. You have to think.
Every guy who's watching this podcast who has a girlfriend or kids or anything, at some point in the last week or two, has just gone and stood in the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't.
Not to even take a shit, but just stood there, just sat on the toilet, on the toilet seat, but pants on.
Yeah,
just on their phone.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta get.
You know what else I do sometimes? Probably maybe once or twice a week is just go in the shower, clothes on, turn it on, and just stand there.
It's just to really feel something, Ice cold.
Ice cold. Doesn't even hit me.
Doesn't feel good.
And they said women no longer tolerate consistent, unacceptable behavior. So they're kind of, all their whole thing is that men need to step it up and blah, blah. And you go,
women are perfect queens.
Yeah. And then on top of that, one of the things that they're forgetting too is that on most of these scenarios, you're like, men are doing this stuff. And it was like, yeah, and men used to have a wife. Now you kind of have a roommate in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
Like it's also just the whole deal's a different deal. Like you can't support families as much on like one family. So you basically have a guy that's like he used to have essentially like a wife who did a bunch of stuff. Now you're both like roommates living together. So it's just a different dynamic.
Yeah.
And she's always kind of like,
and she's not pumped that you keep calling her your roommate.
Yeah, she hates that you keep calling her roommate.
You keep referring to her as your roommate to all your friends.
I feel like dealing with bills. That's like when I say opposite of bugman things. And one of the things that I feel like that's like actually is sort of a masculine thing versus feminine thing. That I feel like I'm a person that does take on all these jobs.
Yeah.
Negotiating, like, you know what I mean? Like this place is trying to move our tickets around, fighting with the people.
Yeah.
I'll take all those jobs because I feel like I'm better at it and also do it. Dealing with bills and stuff like that.
I also.
Like that kind of stuff.
Dude, I had to go cancel mine and my girl's Spectrum. Oh man, it was one of the best feelings to walk into that store and drop all that bullshit off to them. Yeah. Being like, "Oh, have you want to reconsider?" I go, "Get the fuck out of my life forever." I hate Spectrum.
Well, also they when you talk about that reality check, part of that reality check would be the idea that it's not so great on the other side. I think that I'm aware of that a lot of times more now in my life where it's always greener and you go, it's not really, like it's just a different type of brown.
Yeah, different type of brown. That's dark.